and welcome to the Bianca Williams podcast. My name is Bianca Williams. Thank you so much for joining. If you are new here, please make sure you subscribe. There is so much coming out, and there's so many other things that you want to check out. So don't forget to go back and see what are some of the other videos we're talking about, because we're focusing on things like self-growth. We're sharing stories, powerful stories, knowledge, wisdom, all of the above. Somebody is in the journey in their life where they benefit from this information. And so be sure to not, but share your feedback, send it to people, share the wisdom, y'all. All right, so today we definitely have a guest that you want to pay attention to. And I know every time I have a guest on here, I am very excited and I'm telling y'all like, yeah, but this is one of those guests that I'm really excited to reunite with in this way because he is a dear friend from just many years. We have been friends, and I would say this person has been a part of my life in a period of growth for me, in a period of healing. So I really appreciate the friendship. I want to invite and welcome Richard Shaw.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining. So let me tell y'all about my friend Richard, y'all. First of all, he is from Atlanta. He is a celebrity musician. And his journey has started, his journey has always been music, but his journey started with alto saxophone. Anybody who's heard him play has been moved by his music. He is definitely talented. He's done some of the best type of things. And one of his unique talents is being able to play with two saxophones simultaneously and making his saxophone sing like a human voice. So you guys have to check him out. And all you got to do is Google him because he is like very popular in this world. And like I said, he's done work with musicians and celebrities and just all of the above. He has 3 albums. So I can't wait to get into this conversation. But just so you can kind of understand his body of work, some of the people he's worked with is Steve Harvey, Jennifer Hudson, Wynton Marsalis, CeCe Winans, William. He's also been with organizations like Chick-fil-A, Walmart, Fox Theaters, MGM Studios. I mean, he is the real deal, y'all. He's been featured in different premieres such as It's Showtime at the Apollo. He has been at the Gospel Choice Awards, NAACP, Tennessee State University. I really could go on. He's done so much, but I feel like I can go backwards, but I want to pause here and let us talk a little bit about what is going on with you now, Richard, what's coming up. What do people need to be paying attention to with you as, time progresses?
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Bianca, for having me on your podcast. I don't take this for granted. I really appreciate the opportunity. I want to say hello to all the viewers and listeners. I am definitely excited to be on this platform. What I would say for people to really get ready for is my up and coming 4th project. This is my junior, and it'll be released, Lord's willing, within 30 days. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to release this only for your people. All right, Bianca. I haven't said this publicly, but the name of the album is Art of Music. So get ready for it. It's going to be, if I could explain, it's literally a piece of art. So I want you to think of how many colors we have in the world, right? It's red, it's blue, it's yellow, it's orange. It has all these vibrant colors that really makes up this album. So you're going to get a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But at the end, I believe everyone is going to appreciate the Art of Music album. It's actually going to be my EP. So I'm very excited about it.
Wow. I'm gonna let y'all know that by the time this airs, this album will probably have just come out. So y'all heard him say this album is coming out. Don't hesitate, right? Show some support, right? We have a Black musician. He plays all kinds of music, releasing his own work. Let's support. Thank you so much, Richard. Thank you for sharing that. One of the things I really appreciate about your journey is your commitment to your faith and your belief. And I really want to dig into a conversation around that today because I feel like there are so many areas in people's lives that anchor to what is your faith, what is your belief. And so, can you explain to us what the power of belief is and why it's so important?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I believe personally, the power of belief is a viewpoint and a feeling the experience that you must have to achieve anything in life, regardless of your occupation, your vocation, whatever purpose you have in life. It takes belief. That's where it starts. I like to believe that that's the foundation that you have to stand on, because in life, I heard somebody say a while ago, life be lifing. Okay. And what happens is there's so many different things that comes our way that a lot of times, if you're not careful, you begin to doubt. You begin to say, set out this goal, but I don't believe I can achieve it. And whenever you don't believe something, that's the reality of it. So I like to really explain to people how important it is to believe in what it is you're doing. And for me personally, my belief is in God. I do believe in God. Not trying to put religion on anybody, but I do have a belief in a higher being. But I also have belief in myself. You have to have belief in yourself to get and grow to the next level.
The way you explain it, I don't know if I've thought about this way in the past, but it's almost not having belief sometimes can lead to you maybe unintentionally sabotaging yourself and your potential. Because if you don't, just kind of have that just core belief in yourself, this core just sheer I can do it. It may be hard, it may be difficult because it's never easy. I just want y'all to understand it's never easy. But if you have just a sense of something there, then that can be enough to guide you to keep you on track to even if you take a break, you're gonna come right back to it because it's just a part of who you are and you haven't given up on yourself in that way. So
Exactly.
don't let nobody else tell y'all can't, do what y'all really at y'all heart know y'all want to do and that y'all believe
Right.
y'all can do.
That's right.
But when I hear you talk about that, I feel like that always comes. I personally feel like things like that comes from just a deeper place, right? Like a personal experience. Would you mind sharing a personal story about where, belief played a crucial role in your success?
Wow. So that takes me back about 18 years ago, maybe even 20 years ago, where I reached a point in my life to where I questioned God about my purpose. And it was almost as if, Bianca, I was a cork on this vast ocean. We all know that when a cork is on the ocean, it floats
You don't
here,
think.
there, where it's just everywhere, all over the place. And that's how I felt my life was. I wasn't living a life of purpose. So at this particular time, there were four things that really had me down and which triggered me not believing. Number one, I was in a bad relationship. Number two, I was comparing myself to other artists. I was like, why they're successful and I'm not? Why nobody knows Richard Shaw Jr. And, I can do that note too.
Hmm.
But God quickly revealed to me that never compare yourself to other people, but learn from other people. And then the third thing was I was financially broke. And anybody that knows anything about a man, if he's broke, you destroy the very essence of who he is because he's a natural provider. So, and then the fourth thing was number one, I was comparing myself to other people. I was
Hmm.
broke. I was in a bad relationship. And then the other one was I wasn't living life on purpose. I didn't really know my purpose. I knew I could play music, but just because you can do something, that don't mean your purpose to do it.
Right.
I've worked several jobs, 9 to 5. I could do them. I could perform. I perform well, but that doesn't mean I was purposed to do that. So out of those four things, it just led me to this dark place. I was just like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of life. I'm broke, bad relationship. Everybody is doing well except me. I haven't found my purpose. I don't want to live it. So that led me to one of the darkest places in my life where I actually attempted suicide and I swallowed over 4,500 milligram pills. Now, here it is. Fast forward the next day, I woke up in the hospital, and I remember the doctors hovering over me and saying, you do know you could have took your life. And I said, yes, that's what I wanted to do because I felt worthless. That day, Bianca, is when I made a vow to God. I said, you know what, God, if you bring me out of this clean, if you bring me out of this, I'm going to make a vow that I will never attempt suicide again. And Bianca, over 20 years, I have not had another thought of suicide. And it hasn't even been, if anything, it really helped me to birth the Believe Again mission, which I'll talk about a little later. But my core mission, Bianca, is to positively impact the lives of over 1 billion people through music and Believe Again. I have a story to share. And basically, what I do, I use the entertainment, I use my performance to bring people in to really share my story of helping others to believe again. Because there's other people who's come to, their last, they're depressed or they're feeling a certain way. They feel like, some of the same things I felt. And I want to be able to be in a position where I can help others with our mission, Believe Again.
Wow. That was powerful. First of all, I'm so glad you're still here. I didn't know that. I didn't know that story. And so honored that you chose this to be a position where you shared that story. And I hope people do listen to this and understand just how powerful that is. Because when you're at a point where you just want to walk away from life and then God gives you a second chance and then you do something with that second chance, that is huge. So I really thank you so much for sharing that. And one of the things that came up in the way you talked about this that I was even thinking about in the beginning was purpose. A lot of the work I do, one of the main areas we'll get to at some point, or some people's whole journey is about their spirituality. Because it's so important, right? Your spirituality, like you said, yours is a place that allows you to be guided through your life, through God's word, through blessings, watching over you, everything, right? And spirituality can encompass a lot of different things, but that's definitely one way, right? And so I feel like one of the key things that comes out of that journey is purpose, because purpose allows you to see life beyond the day to day, beyond just difficult moments, beyond the what I want versus what am I here to do. And so I'm really glad you talked about it in that way. And I know you're gonna dig into that a little bit more later.
Yes.
But that was just powerful, so I just
Thank
wanna
you.
thank you. Yeah, absolutely. What are some common obstacles that you recognize people sometimes when they are trying to learn how to believe in themselves?
Wow. Well, one of the biggest ones is self doubt. And a lot of that self doubt, honestly, Bianca, comes from comparison. We have the propensity to compare ourselves with other people. And I'm going to tell you, one of the biggest double edged swords, I would call it, is social media. Every day you're seeing someone else success. People don't post failures typically, right? So every day you're seeing this polished person online and you're like, man, I wish I could be like that. But you don't know the inner workings. You don't know if they, rented this car or it's so many different, elements to that. What tends to happen is that we compare ourselves to other people, not realizing that their chapter 5 is different from your chapter 5. And you can't compare yourself to other people. So I would say that's one of the biggest nemesis out there. Really, that whole comparing when you're seeing somebody in your field, maybe they're more successful, you think, and you're like, okay, why is this happening when, you know, I've been working hard on this and I've been doing this. So that's one. Another one is distractions. Distractions can be extremely deadly in whatever that is. It could be a bad habit. It could be a relationship. It could be just whatever vice or whatever you may have. I believe that that can harm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you do this. I know I've done this at different points, like taking social media breaks. I just feel like there's something that allows you to just reconnect to the core of who you are and see the world continuing without that because it can be addictive. I know some people wake up and that's the first thing they do. And I always say,
Right.
don't do that first. Don't do that first. You know, don't let that be the tone of your day because whatever's on there is going to feed into your mood for the day. And that starts as soon as you wake up. Create space for yourself. I'm so glad you said that, like, comparing and doubting yourself is one of those core things that allows people to cycle into this place of, "I'm not good enough, and what's the point?" Or, not even trying, giving up on themselves before they try. And like you said, a lot of what happens on social media is not as real as people think it is. It's a snapshot of what people want you to see. Now you said people be showing their success. On my timeline, they be showing a mix of stuff. I'm like, oh, you been having a rough time. Like, but you're right. Like people do like to like get on there and really highlight, just some of the really good things, the good moments that's happening in their life without you seeing behind that curtain and what, maybe is going on. And one of one of my natural talents I've learned is just talking to people and people I don't know. I think people just like opening up to me. I don't know what that's about, but they do. So I'm in
Yeah.
the right field, y'all. But
Yeah.
but like, when the people open up to me and they have like, some of the things that you dream of or you wish for, I have the ability to learn more about what's going on and some of their more vulnerable challenges. And it just sometimes breaks my heart the things they're navigating. And on the outside it looks really good, but on the inside it's a deep struggle. And so I would encourage you if you're struggling with that cycle of comparison to sometimes just take breaks and appreciate where you are because like you said, we are in different journeys in life, we're in different chapters in our life. And just because you're not seeing your life in the same way that you're seeing their life does not mean you're not on the path of success or on the path of what is meant for you. The unique thing about life is we don't create the path. I mean, we can create goals and move towards that, but we're kind of, our path has already been created for us. And so all we got to do is honor that, is show up and be good people. And that comes from belief, that comes from faith. So I'm so glad we're having this conversation today.
That's right.
How can someone cultivate a strong belief system?
There's a few ways. One of the ways that I've actually cultivated, and I learned this from a very successful man, and he talked about number one, when you're talking about belief, there's a formula. And when I say there's a formula, there's a way to know if you're believing. And it's called paid off belief. And the way he explained it, it was so profound because I was like, oh, okay, now I can see if I'm actually believing. Okay. But before I get into that, I'm going to just talk about three primary areas that really increase your belief. Number one is the images that you see. Okay. Number two is your associations with people. Number three is your self-suggested messages that you speak. Okay. We call them daily affirmations. So whatever you speak about yourself, the Bible talks about how powerful the tongue is. It says, as a man thinketh, so is he. Okay. And it also talks about us being creators with our words. So that's why they always say, be careful what you speak, because once you speak, it's gone. It's like toothpaste. Once the toothpaste come out, it's gone, right?
Yep. Cannot
So
put it back in the tube.
exactly. So being careful with what you speak. So once you have all those things going, let's talk about, okay, how do I know I'm believing? Number one, P. You constantly persistent. Okay. You have peace. Okay. And when I say you have peace, the peace of God that passeth all understanding. Okay. My goal is to earn $50,000 this month. Okay. I haven't quite reached $50,000, right? But I have peace. I'm not worried. I'm not mad. I'm not angry. I genuinely have peace that just because it hasn't happened doesn't mean it's not happening. Okay, so that's P. The next one is A. You're constantly taking action towards what it is that you're looking to achieve. A person who say they believe and don't take action, you don't have activity, A, you don't believe, because that's a prerequisite. Faith without works is dead, right? So if you're not working, there's no action to prove that you believe something, you don't believe. Okay, so we have peace, we have action or activities. Then we have you're inspired. Okay, you remember when I talked about comparing yourself to other people? When
Yeah.
you learn that, I'm gonna give you a prime example. One artist that I love that's a saxophonist that I really admire is Kurt Whalum. Phenomenal musician. I love me some Kurt. I still study him today, right?
Yeah.
Every time I see him, I'm not thinking, man, I'm jealous. He got a chance to play, Whitney Houston, I Will Always Love You, and that's the most played saxophone solo in the world. No, I look at Kurt Whalum as a inspiration. I get inspired because this is the reason why. If Kurt Whalum can do it, Richard Shaw Jr. can do it. He literally paved the way for me to be able to do what I'm doing. Okay. So you're inspired. All right. Here's the last one. You are dedicated and you're disciplined. That's how you know you believe in. Because every single day I'm practicing my music. Every single day I'm doing something musically to grow. I don't rely on what I did last year. I don't need to practice. No, every day, Richard Shaw Jr. has to practice because I want to go and grow to the next level. So that's discipline. That's being really dedicated. That's how I know I'm believing and I'm saying, okay, I'm not where I want to be now, but I have the paid off. I have peace. I'm constantly taking action. I'm inspired and I'm dedicated and disciplined to that particular goal. Okay. So I always like to tell people, that's really the formula to knowing whether or not you're believing.
Wow. I love that. Thank you. I feel like, one thing I'm gonna do is write that down. Y'all better take notes because he really giving game right now. And some of this stuff is like lifelong things. These are things that come up over and over again and you use. So I love that. I love the whole concept of inspiration because what a lot of people don't realize about people's journeys is that there is so much behind that. Like most people are not in their position on like by accident. They're in their position on purpose. They've worked towards that. They've believed in that. They've wished for that. They've prayed for that. Like all of those things. And so, like, even when I look at your success, Richard, you've worked very hard for many years. I remember, back in the day when you were even expanding your instrument knowledge, you were like adding to it. And one thing nobody can say that knew you back then was Richard didn't, like he didn't have that saxophone with him, or he wasn't on his way to practice, or he wasn't on his way of, finishing up practice. You were constantly like, like crafting your skill. And so I feel like when you see this success today, it's not like, oh, I can't believe he's this successful and I'm not. No, Richard been working towards this all his life. Like this has been a lifelong just part of him. And so it makes sense because like you said, you've been following that. And then people don't reach success by looking at people that they passed up or they feel like, they can't learn from. People reach success by looking at people who are better, who are where they want to be. And so I love that, like the finding inspiration instead of feeling envious or feeling slighted because it's not your journey yet.
Right. Yep. That's it.
Yeah. So, in what ways can the power of belief impact professional and personal growth? Like this question.
Well, I'll say for professional growth, put you in a, it really puts you in the top 5% of people in the world. They call it the 5%ers because the 5% of the people in the world literally have what they want. they have what they desire. And I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about love, peace, great relationships, health. All those play a part. It's just not financial success. But they have that belief. They realize that in order to have these things, I have to believe. And the masses of people don't honestly believe. They really don't. When you look at statistically how many people hate their jobs, if you hate your job and you're just doing it for it, that means you're not in your purpose.
You're not.
You're not. If you can't do what you do for free, chances are that's not really your purpose.
Absolutely.
I tell people I went 15 years without pay on the sax.
Yep. I
15
felt
years,
now
no pay.
we gonna talk after this, but I'm gonna say this because y'all listening. And I usually tell people this at the end. The reason why I do these podcasts, I actually don't get paid for this. I don't have any sponsors. I don't do this for money at all. The reason why I do this is because this is my give back. In our field, I can only see a person or a couple at a time, but there's so much knowledge, there's so much to give people. And so this is my give back. I'm like, I spend hours, right? Like editing, getting ready for this, posting this, all of that kind of stuff. But I want to do this. This is something I feel I need to do. And so I love that. I love the way he just explained that. Like purpose is not from a place of comfort. It's from a place of, like almost like need.
That's it. That's it. And then I'll say this as far as your personal life, how belief plays a part is similar to your professional life, but in terms of your personal area. So, having a belief in, your exercises, eating the right foods, believing certain things about what you should do. For example, I took pork completely out of my diet about 10 years ago, and understanding what pork does. And hey, listen, if you're listening to this and you eat pork, you eat your ribs, you eat whatever you want to
Right.
eat. This is not a condemnation message or condemning anyone, but just after research about what pork does and really having an understanding and belief system, it helped my health personally to get better. So just, belief is just that universal foundation that really genuinely helps you every area of your.
Yeah. One thing is I like that you doing is you're like explaining your, you know, journey, your preference, but you're also giving people permission to have a different journey and preference. And I think that's so important because when you think about topics and just areas of life like purpose, like belief, it doesn't look the same for everybody. Everybody's like driven by different things. Everybody, like my purpose isn't going to be your purpose. Even if we're doing the same thing, it's going to be a little different. And so I love that you can explain that, but also have that compassion, that empathy to let people, you know, explore what they need to explore to get to their purpose without guilting them, without shaming them, without, this like you got to do it this way or else type feeling.
Right.
Yeah. Can you discuss a time when you doubted yourself and how did you overcome that?
Great question. There are several times I've doubted myself. I doubted myself at the beginning when my mom first bought my saxophone. I'll never forget. She bought my saxophone home. It was a birthday gift, and she surprised me, her and my dad. And I remember picking up the saxophone, I put it together, and I started blowing the first time. And it was like the worst sound that anyone could ever made. And I was like, Mom, I don't know if this, for some reason, I had this idea that when you bought a instrument, as soon as you played it, you would sound good because I saw people on TV sounding great with this instrument. So I was thinking, oh, I just need to buy it and then I'm going to sound like that. Not knowing that I needed to have thousands of hours in order to really become better or to get to a certain level. So at that point, borrowed belief from my mom because Bianca, I didn't have any for myself.
Like, I don't know. She
I was
believed in something I couldn't see it.
couldn't see it. I was depleted of belief. So in that scenario, I literally doubted myself, but I had to borrow belief from my mom and my dad. And after a certain while, I started having my own belief. So that's a unique situation where I had a lot of doubt, but because my parents believed in me, I was able to reach out, borrow from them, and then eventually it became my own.
That I want to say something, but I'm gonna ask you this before I say it because I'm almost like I feel like you might speak on this. What advice would you give to someone who is struggling to believe in their potential?
That's a good one. If you're struggling to believe in your potential, me personally, I feel like you have to borrow, like I just mentioned. There's, I feel like there's always someone that believes in you.
Yep.
And sometimes they're not even your relatives. Sometimes it may be a teacher. Sometimes it may be a coach. Sometimes it may, someone we least suspect. It could even be someone that, right? And when I say that, it could be someone that has lived and they died and you just feel their spirit, or it could be someone maybe a motivational speaker or someone that you connected with that has passed away and you can really glean information from audio, their audio books. Like Dr. Miles Monroe, I connect very well to him even though he passed away through his books, through his audios, all these messages that he has left. You can borrow belief from that source as well. So that's what I would say. If you don't have it for yourself and you really believe in for your potential, sometimes you just gotta borrow the belief from somewhere else
Yeah.
until you have it.
I thought you were gonna, kind of dig into that a little bit more. I'm glad you did. Because one thing I would say is that when you get and I totally believe that, especially because I feel like when you're in different periods of your life, there are things that can be discouraging, there are things that can cause you to question. If you have not seen yourself in a certain space yet, you don't really know it's real yet. And so being able to lean on other people that are helping you grow, are helping you see reach that potential is kind of a part of the journey.
Yeah,
What I would say be careful of is the other side of that because you're also going to get the criticism, you're going to get the no's, you're going to get the people who are doubting you. And while that is super discouraging, I don't feel like it's a reason to necessarily stop. It's just a reason to figure out how to grow in that craft, how to refine that, how to stand out in a way that works for you. And eventually you'll get the right yes. You'll get the right person that is behind you, supporting you. And so don't let the no's and the discouragement be a reason to stop, but definitely lean on the people who are encouraging you, are uplifting you, are supporting you, because that's a part of that journey. I love that.
and I heard this preacher. He said, and it still registers. He said a lot of times people have been taught to fake it until you make it. He said, don't fake it until you make it. He said, faith it until you make it, which is a whole nother context. So
Yes.
how do you faith it? You literally put in the work. You're speaking those affirmations. You're telling yourself, you're looking yourself in the mirror daily saying that I am a champion. I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. You're daily speaking those things to help build who you
I wholeheartedly believe that. I always talk to people about the power of manifestation, which is how you're talking about the power of belief. And I'm like, you get everything you want when you operate as that person. When you don't have to have the money and all of the things yet, but if you have chosen to operate as that person, everything that aligns with that person will come to you. So just be who you're trying to be, and then you'll be who you want to be, if that makes sense. Just dropping gems all over the place. I wish I could make it glitter on this because it's just really, really good stuff. Okay, so we're about to get into some good stuff, which I feel like, you know, definitely helps with kind of backing up everything you said so far. How did you discover your why and when did you realize yours?
Well, my why came from my dark place. The moment I suffered and realized that I was suffering from a mental health challenge, that became my why. So a lot of times we talk about, I've heard people put in context, they say a lot of times the place of pain takes you into the place of purpose.
Yes, it
And
does.
that's literally what that did for me because I was in such a bad place. And I knew after coming out of that, I knew that other people would go through what I'm going through, was already going through what I was going through, or eventually will. So God really took that place, that testimony, and say, okay, Richard, use this platform as a way to help others. So it's not a topic of, it becomes a taboo topic. Because for Black men in general, we don't open up. We hold everything inside. And generally speaking, Black men, men of color, we've been taught to be strong. Don't cry. Be a man. Well, what does that look like? Does that mean I'm not supposed to cry? No. We, I'm a human. God gave the emotions of crying and sadness for a reason. Even Jesus wept. So that doesn't make me less of a man. But understanding that, you know, over 64 million people in the United States alone suffer from a mental health challenge. And really understanding that, understanding my story, it just put me in a place of saying, you know what, I'm going to use what I went through to really help other people. And when I say help other people, we go as far as whenever I sell my paraphernalia, my shirts, my t-shirts, my CDs, my albums, a certain percentage goes back to our global Believe Again initiative, which we set up a 501c3, very serious about taking those resources to be able to help others who may not have resources for mental health challenges.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. I love that you use your story, or sometimes I call it your circumstances, as a point of power, as a point of empower, as a
Yes,
point of inspiration for others. That is huge. And yes, you're absolutely right. Your pain doesn't have to be just the story of pain. It can be the story of what you did with that pain, what it did to help, like, allow you to grow as a person, but also help others.
that's right.
Can you discuss a time when your why led to something surprising or unexpected that you just was like, I didn't even know this was gonna come out of this?
I'm sure if I think long enough, I can think of something. One thing that stands out as far as my why, I explained to you what my mission is, right?
Billion?
And there are certain artists that in my mind, I was like, if I could just get an opportunity to connect with this person because my why is what it is, okay? And about 3 weeks ago, and I'm just praying that this happens. It's not set in stone, but 3 weeks ago, I received a call from someone and they said, "Hey, listen, we may have an opportunity for you to play for Stevie Wonder." Now, mind you, Stevie Wonder has been on my bucket list and wanting to meet and greet for years. Stevie Wonder is one of the artists that they were the first people that I learned, like their music was the first introduction in my life. And I was like, this is a person I would love to connect with. Stevie Wonder was one of my whys as far as like just in the music realm. So it's funny how 3 weeks ago, and I've been playing the sax now 26 years, that's just now coming into fruition. So I'm just praying, stand in agreement that this actually happens because this would be life changing for
I will listen, okay? The power of belief. We
Yes.
there. Richard, you act like you act like you not a celebrity saxophonist. You done been in so many rooms. You done met so many people. And when I hear you talk about it, it's like I love it. It's like a little kid getting ice cream because it's, "Oh my gosh, I really gotta get this." You had, so many different kind of ice creams. But I do understand what you're saying. It's like it's a kinda, like you said, that bucket list item where you're just like, "I just really this is one of those things you just dream of happening." And we've seen your career grow tremendously. We've seen, just your path illuminate itself. I feel like your path is just illuminated ahead of you. All you gotta do is just keep walking it. And so I
Thank
definitely support and believe this will happen. And as you are in that space to where your why, your purpose, right, has been able to flourish, you've been able to see it, you've been able to, reach heights and beyond the heights that you knew you could reach. How do you stay connected to that in everyday life?
I think the most important thing to do, Bianca, is to remain humble, no matter how much success you have, because I've seen so many artists in the industry. I've connected with some of the giants, and one of the things that I promised myself, Bianca, I will never be a butthole. I will never be a person who, I mean, the higher they go, it seems like they change and they lose sight of where they come from. So really being rooted and grounded in your faith and also being humble. And also having an outreach hand to show other people, okay, well, you did it. Can you help other people do it? So one of the things I'm getting ready to set up is a master class to show other people, other musicians who don't have a record label, how do you earn six figures without a record deal? Like,
Yeah.
how can you have this success in this area and you're just doing music? You're not doing anything else. So I want to be able to help other artists and let them know you don't have to have a record deal to be successful in this industry. It's just knowing what to do. So
Yeah.
I'm excited about that master class to, help other artists and show them what I did.
I'm excited too. That's huge. I love that. I love that you about the message about humble. I couldn't imagine you turning into that kind of person. It just doesn't seem like the fabric of who you are. But I hear you. It's intentional for you to not turn into that type of person. So thank you. I Could you please share with people how they can learn more about you, your music, your upcoming events, when your master class is, all of these things, where they can find you?
Sure. So we actually have a newsletter. I would recommend people to subscribe to our newsletter. And how you can get to the newsletter, just simply go to our website, richardshawjr.com, and subscribe there. You can actually go to all of our social media platforms. It's under my name, Richard Shaw Jr. That newsletter, it just lets you know where I'll be performing next. As I stated, I have a new album coming out. I have several performances that's coming up as well. Social media is a good way to stay informed and tuned as well because we make posts to let you know where we're going to be.
Awesome. Man, I feel like this was such a really good episode. It was almost like a love story to music, a point of self-discovery for yourself, just a blueprint to just reaching success, but from the inside out, right? Like your spirit, just like the where your foundation is. And so thank you so much for talking, for
So,
speaking to the audience today. You guys, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share this. I know like one of the things Richard touched on was mental health with men, and just some of the messages that go against that. And I'm so glad you're an advocate for people to be healthy. You've been able to even share some of your journey and being able to come out of those dark spaces. And so definitely share your feedback, everyone. I would love to hear it, and continue to spread this. Thank you again so much, Richard, and we will see
absolutely.
y'all next time.
All right, Bianca, thank you so much.